Okay, so seafaring experience illama political or work up, we can say that is The Secret Agent. Now tell me, which novel of Virginia Woolf is a prime example of stream of consciousness?
To the Lighthouse.
Very first work. This is Dalloway. Right, நீங்க வந்து chronology base பண்ணி தான் ஆன்சர் பண்ணணும். Okay, now who used the technique stream of consciousness in literary context?
Mason
Mary Sinclair.
Yeah, the very first person to use the technique stream of consciousness in literary context is Mason Sinclair. Okay, Mason Sinclair, when reviewing the work of Dorothy Richardson's Pilgrimage, okay, so she used the term stream of consciousness. Now tell me, Winston Smith is a protagonist in a very famous novel of 20th century. What is that?
1984.
1984 by George Orwell. Winston Smith is a protagonist. Okay. Now, what literary movement is associated with writers like Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac? Allen Ginsberg.
Generation.
Yeah. Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac. Remember these names? They were associated with Beat Generation. இங்க வந்து கொஞ்சம் postmodern novelsல வருவாங்க. ஒரு few questions மட்டும் அதுல இருக்கும். Okay, bear with me. Name the postmodern novel by Thomas Pynchon that explores paranoia and conspiracy theories.
V.
No.
Gravity
V is also novel by Thomas Pynchon. But my question is, which explores the theme of paranoia and conspiracy theories?
Gravity Rainbow.
That's correct. Gravity's Rainbow. Okay. So please do read a little summary on it. Which Nobel Prize winning author wrote 100 Years of Solitude?
Gabriel.
கொஞ்சம் மியூட் பண்ணுங்க. Disturb ஆகுது. 100 Years of Solitude is a work by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. As we know, he is one of the main proponents of magical realism. Tell me when Gabriel Garcia Marquez received Nobel Prize?
1982.
Very good, 1982. Who wrote the contemporary novel The Road, which won the Pulitzer Prize in 2007? Corman McCarthy. Okay, Corman McCarthy. Ama. Okay. The ethics of cloning and the meaning of humanity is a major theme of Kashi Shigeru's novel. What is that? The ethics
Never
of,
let me go.
yeah, the cloning concepts of a kind of science fiction. Okay, which is also by a Nobel laureate, Kashi Ishiguro. Okay, that is Never Let Me Go. Okay, Kashi Ishiguro, when did he receive Nobel Prize?
2017.
2017. Which Edwardian writer is famous for the social satire, The Man Who Was Thirsty? It is a social satire. The Man Who Was Thirsty.
Arnold Bennett.
It is G.K. Chesterton. Okay, it is G.K. Chesterton. Next question. Who wrote the novel that depicting the changing fortunes of an upper middle class family? No, it's a kind of a saga novel. A very famous Edwardian novelist was.
Galsworthy.
Particularly, we can say playwrights.
Galsworthy.
Yeah, very good. The Forsyth Saga. The saga novels அப்படினாலே நமக்கு அது ஒரு hint மாதிரி. Okay. It deals with the life of an upper middle class family. The Old Vicarage, Grantchester, it is a nostalgic poem by The Old Vicarage, Grantchester is a nostalgic poem by Rupert Brooke. Okay, Rupert Brooke, The Old Vicarage, Grantchester. Who wrote Peter Pan?
J.M.
Barrie.
J.M. Barrie. What is the subtitle of Peter Pan?
The Man
The
Who
boy
Wouldn't
wouldn't grow.
The Boy Who Wouldn't Grow Up. Okay, The Boy Who Wouldn't Grow Up. That is the subtitle of Peter Pan. Now, Arnold Bennett's The Old Wives' Tale is set in which fictional region inspired by his hometown? I repeat, Arnold Bennett's The Old Wives' Tale is set in which fictional region inspired by his hometown? The Potteries, Potteries, the Potteries. Okay, அதுதான் fictional town. Okay, of Arnold Bennett. அது எதை represent பண்ணுது அப்படின்னா Stoke on Trent. STOKE, Stoke on Trent. Stoke on Trent தான் அவரோட birthplace. Now, Don Juan in Hell is an act in a very famous 20th century play. What is that?
The Man and Superman.
The Man and Superman by George Bernard Shaw. Okay, Don Juan in Hell. This is the third act in Man and Superman. Okay, named the author of the satirical novel Tono Bungay, which explores the rise and fall of an empire built on a dubious product.
H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells.
Very good, H.G. Wells. Okay, H.G. Wells, that's correct. How many years did Methuselah live? As we know, it is a big biblical character. Methuselah is a biblical character. How many years did Methuselah live? 969 years. Okay, 969 years. Back to Methuselah is a work by
G.B. Shaw.
ஜார்ஜ் பெர்னார்ட் ஷா படிச்சிருப்பீங்க இல்லையா? அதுல வர அந்த மெத்துசலா பிப்ளிக்கல் கேரக்டர் எவ்வளவு வருஷம் உயிரோட இருப்பாங்க அப்படின்னா 969 years. Okay, the play Arms and the Man, we know it is a work by Shaw. The title Arms and the Man was taken from
Virgil's
Aeneid.
Virgil's Aeneid. As we know, it is satire on love and war. Shaw பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் அவங்களோட themes is very very important. எல்லா ஒர்க்கோட themes நீங்க பார்க்கணும். Satire on love and war is a theme of Arms and the Man. The title is taken from Virgil's Aeneid. As we know, the main characters were Reina Petkoff, who was actually engaged to Sergius, but later she shifted her love towards Captain Bluntschli. Captain Bluntschli is a chocolate cream soldier. Right, they were the main characters in the story. Then the character Professor Higgins appears in
Pygmalion.
Pygmalion. Professor Higgins, Colonel Pickering, Eliza Doolittle, right? Flower Girl, Eliza Doolittle, very famous characters in English. Okay, இவங்க எல்லாருமே வந்து Pygmalionல appear ஆவாங்க. Who called Conrad a thoroughgoing racist for, depicting the native Africans as animal?
Chinua Achebe.
Yeah, it was Chinua Achebe who called Joseph Conrad a thoroughgoing racist. Okay, Chinua Achebe's famous essay An Image of Africa. இதுலதான் கிரிட்டிக் பண்ணிருப்பார் An Image of Africa. எதனால thoroughgoing racist ன்னு சொல்றாரு? Because Heart of Darknessல நேட்டிவ் பீப்புளான ஆப்பிரிக்கன்ஸோட போர்ட்ரேட் வந்து லைக் ஒரு பார்பேரிக் ரெஃபரன்ஸ் மாதிரி அந்த மாதிரி கொடுத்திருந்ததுனாலதான் அவரை வந்து thoroughgoing racist அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்க. நெக்ஸ்ட் கொஸ்டின். J.M. Coetzee accused Conrad for him J.M. Coetzee accused Conrad for his idleness, that is a racial stereotype, in which of his essay? Like Chinua Achebe, J.M. Coetzee also criticized Joseph Conrad for his racial stereotypes. So in which essay he critiqued him? Idleness in South Africa. Okay, Idleness in South Africa. What is the name of the boat in Heart of Darkness?
Ariel or Don Juan?
No. Shelley drown ஆகி இறந்து போயிருப்பாரு இல்லையா? Ariel. The name of the boat is Ariel. What is the name of the boat in Heart of Darkness? That is Nelly. Very simple question. Nelly is the name of the boat. Pequod is a boat in
Moby Dick.
Moby Dick.
American literature அது பார்க்கலாம். பட் எனி ஹவ் ஒரு டீவியேஷனுக்காக நான் கேட்டேன். பெக்கோட் போட் இன் மாபி டிக். நெல்லி இஸ் போட் இன் ஹார்ட் ஆஃப் டார்க்னஸ். ஏரியல் போட்ல தான் ஷெல்லி டிராவல் பண்ணிருப்பாரு. அதுதான் ட்ரவுன் ஆகி இறந்து போயிருப்பாரு. And we know that 4 of his novels, that is Conrad's novel, Charles Marlowe is a narrator. Right? 4 workல அவர் தான் narrator இருந்திருப்பாரு. அது என்னன்னு பார்க்கலாம். Mr. Coots, he is dead. It's an epigraph of first. Mr. Coots, he's a dead. It's an epigraph of Eliot.
Hollow Man.
Yeah, the Hollow Man. T.S. Eliot a Hollow Man or epigraph. Mr. Coots, he is dead. Patuzan is the name of an island. Listen to the question. Patuzan is the name of an island. It was inhabited by Malay and Burgese tribe. The novel's protagonist was a sailor who abandoned the ship, which risked the life of 800 pilgrims. Can you tell me the name of the novel? I have given a description about a novel by Conrad.
Lord Jim.
That is correct. Lord Jim. Okay. Patuzanla தான் என்ன பண்ணுவோம் கடைசியா Lord Jim, you know, the very beginning of the story, he was a sailor. ஒரு 800 pilgrims வந்து மெக்காக்கு கூட்டிட்டு போகும். On the way, you know, ship sink ஆனதும் as a sailor அவனோட டியூட்டி வந்து he is supposed to protect the pilgrim. சரிங்களா? அவங்களோட ரெஸ்கியூவை தான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ப்ரையாரிட்டைஸ் பண்ணணும். பட் அவன் என்ன பண்ணுவான், ஆள் எகிரி பிடிச்சு தப்பி எஸ்கேப் ஆயிடுவான். ரைட்? ஸோ இது எத்திக்கல் கிடையாது இல்லையா? ஸோ அதனால அவருக்கு யூனோ ஹி ஃபெல்ட் வெரி யூனோ பப்ளிக்கா ஒரு ஹியூமிலியேஷன் நடக்கும். ஸோ ஒரு ட்ரையல்லாம் வச்சு நடக்கும். அதுக்கப்புறம் சார்ல்ஸ் மார்லவ் will appear in Lord Jim also. Heart of Darkness-லயும் சார்ல்ஸ் மார்லவ் வருவாரு, லார்ட் ஜிம்லயும் சார்ல்ஸ் மார்லவ் வருவாரு. So later on the advice of Charles Marlowe, he went to Patuzan Island and he lived with tribes. You know, there were characters like Cornelius, Jewel, right? Characters. In the story, the protagonist shot himself and died. Okay, Lord Jim, he died by shooting himself. Then Charles Marlowe is a narrator of 4 of Conrad's work. நான் இப்பமே 2 சொல்லிட்டேன். மிச்சம் 2 சொல்லுங்க பாப்போம்.
Youth and Change.
Youth.
Very good. Youth, Chance. Okay, Youth, Chance. Total Heart of Darkness, Youth, Chance, Lord Jim. Which of Conrad's work was set against French Revolution? Come on. Which of Conrad's work was set against French Revolution? Tell me fast. Okay, I'll give you a clue. It is his last completed novel. What happened, guys? The Rover. Okay, 1923. Last completed novel nale Rover da. We know that novel, the Rover is also written by some other woman writer. There's a play. After Ben play எழுதிருப்பாங்க the Rover அப்படினு. Novel எழுதினது யாரு? Joseph Conrad. Next question. When did Conrad's debut novel Almayer's Folly published?
1895.
Yeah, 1895. Can you tell me some other works published in 1895?
Jude the Obscure, Importance of Being
Jude the
Honest.
Obscure by Thomas Hardy.
The Handmaid's
Importance of
Time Machine by H.G. Wells.
The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. Importance of Being Earnest. Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. Okay, what is the subtitle of Importance of Being Earnest? Sorry for asking you. Victorian literature.
Trivial Comedy for Serious People.
Trivial Comedy for Serious People. Correct. Trivial Comedy for Serious People is the subtitle of Importance of Being Earnest. Remember the characters Gwendolen, Algernon, Jagworthy. Okay, Gwendolen, Jagworthy, Algernon. They were the characters. Cecilia. All these appears in Importance of Being Earnest. A Romance of Commerce is the subtitle of. A Romance is a commerce of is a subtitle of. Just now we have seen. So the question I have already asked. Tono Bungay. Okay, Tono Bungay, as we know, it is a work by H.G. Wells, which was published in 1909. So Tono Bungay அப்படிங்கிறது ஒண்ணுனா ஒரு மெடிசனோட பேர் தான். சரிங்களா? அதுக்கு பேட்டன்ட் வாங்கி வச்சிருப்பாங்க. இட் இஸ் a patent medicine. Tono Bungay அப்படிங்கிறது. Name the feminist new woman novel of H.G. Wells. Already they asked in that very famous work. Name the feminist new woman novel of H.G. Wells. Anne Veronica. Yeah, Anne Veronica. The same year, Tono Bange published ஆன அதே வருஷம் தான் Anne Veronica. அப்ப எந்த வருஷம்?
1909.
1909. The term new woman was popularized by. First, the term new woman was popularized by.
Henry James. Sarah.
Very good. Henry James. Okay, remember, new woman அப்படிங்கிறது coin பண்ணது யாரு, popularize பண்ணது யாரு, the difference தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும். The term new woman was coined by Sarah Grand. Okay, in 1894. The term new woman was popularized by Henry James. Okay, Henry James. The characters Isabel Archer, Daisy Miller, right? இவங்கெல்லாம் women characters of Henry James. Okay, Isabel Archer, Daisy Miller. New woman அப்படிங்கிறது ஒண்ணும் இல்ல, an independent woman who is reason for her own growth, right? So அந்த மாதிரியான character development, woman character development தான் new woman novel அப்படின்னு நம்ம சொல்றோம். Now tell me, the term new woman was coined by Sarah Grand in which work? The new aspect of woman question. The new aspect of woman question, 1894. What is the subtitle of The Silver Box by John Galsworthy? What is the subtitle of The Silver Box by John Galsworthy?
A comedy in
A comedy in 3 acts, 1906. A comedy in 3 acts, 1906. We know the very apt theme of Silver Box. நான் சொல்ற lines பாருங்க. Law grind the poor and rich men rule the law. Law grind the poor and rich men rule the law. This famous poem's line is a very good example, or very, we can say an apt theme for Silver Box. இப்ப நான் சொன்ன லைன் யாரோட போயம்னு சொல்லலாமா?
Oliver Goldsmith.
Yeah, laws grind the poor and rich men rule the law. It is Oliver Goldsmith's The Traveller. Yeah, this line appears in Oliver Goldsmith's The Traveller. Now tell me, David Roberts, John Anthony, Simon Harness, they were the characters in. Yeah, John Galsworthy oda Strife, STRIFE, 1909, again 1909, Tono Bange, Anne Veronica, Strife, மூணுமே 1909. Okay, Strife la வரக்கூடிய character John Anthony, David Roberts, ரெண்டு பேருமே ரொம்ப முக்கியமான character, Simon Harness, remember. And the conflict behind the story is, laborers versus capitalist. That is the main theme. Laborers versus capitalist. Name the interludes in Forsyte Saga by Galsworthy. Name the interludes. ரெண்டு interludes உண்டு இல்லையா?
Man of the people.
India Summer at a Forsyte.
Yeah, Indian Summer of a Forsyte.
Awakening.
Yeah, Indian Summer of a Forsyte, Awakening. Chat box la போட்டுருங்க பாப்போம். Okay, இது ரெண்டும் தான் interludes. அதுக்கப்புறம் மூணு நாவல் அதுல வரும். Man of Property, In Chancery, and To Let. The Man of Property, In Chancery, To Let. These are all the novels. இது எல்லாமே Forsyte Saga தான். Clayhanger Trilogy யாரோடது? Clayhanger Trilogy.
Arnold Bennett.
Enroll, very good. Enroll, already we have seen one work. What is that?
Old Wives' Tales.
Old Wives' Tale. Name the autobiographical novel of Enroll Bennett.
Man from the North.
Very good. A Man from the North is an autobiographical novel of Enroll Bennett. Who is the author of the following works? The Fifth Queen Trilogy and Parades in Tetralogy. Fifth Queen Trilogy, Parades in Tetralogy. Parades, Parades in Tetralogy. No. Ford Maddox Ford. Okay, who is the author of the following work? The Fifth Queen Trilogy, Parades in Tetralogy. Ford Maddox Ford. Remember, Ford Maddox Ford is well known for his novel which was published in 1915. Can you tell me?
The Good Soldier.
Yeah, The Good Soldier. Okay, The Good Soldier, 1915. It is a famous work by Ford Maddox Ford. But the protagonists have so many affairs in the story. Kind of filthy story. But it is a very successful novel. Who adopted the pseudonym Saki?
H.H.
Who adopted the pseudonym Saki? H.H. Munro. Hector Hook Munro. Okay, Saki is his pseudonym. Okay, now the characters Mrs. Sappleton, Frampton Nuttall, Vera. I repeat, Mrs. Sappleton, Frampton Nuttall, Vera were the characters in a short story of Ash. In a short story, I have given line for that. Mrs. Sappleton, Frampton Nuttall, Vera. They were the characters in a short story. It's a very famous short story writer. The Open Window is the name of a short story. The Open Window by G.K. Chesterton. Okay, G.K. Chesterton. And remember, there is a reference of snipe hunting in this short story. Snipe hunting. S-N-I-P, snipe hunting. And the character from the Nuttall, no characters in India. Nuttall, Frampton Nuttall. He is undergoing nerve cure, a kind of nervous disease. Nerve cure. N-E-R-V-E-C-U-R-E. Nerve cure. Who created, name the detective character created by G.K. Chesterton.
Father Brown.
Father
Yeah.
Brown.
Remember the character, Father Brown. Famous is it? Father Brown is a detective character created by G.K. Chesterton. Now tell me, how many detective stories did he appear? How many detective stories did he appear? 51. Okay. Men and Women, Robert Browning.
51 points.
Additional how many detective stories did the character Father Brown appears? 51. இதே 51 அப்படிங்கிற நம்பர் வந்து நம்ம வேற எதுல படிச்சிருக்கோம். Men and Women, poetry collection by Robert Browning. How many poems were there? 51. Okay. Now, I'm going to give a definition for something. You have to find out what it is. This term is used to describe the contradictory nature of Victorian era. Okay, I repeat, this term is used to describe the contradictory nature of the Victorian era. The writer used this term for highlighting the coexistence of progress and poverty, wealth and suffering, and attempt to balance these forces. What is the term which I defined right now? Excellent. Victorian compromise. Okay. Remember, Victorian compromise is a term coined by G.K. Chesterton. Victorian era Victorian, we know that it is very popular. Victorian அப்படிங்கிறதே பயங்கர பாப்புலர். அந்த டைம்ல பாத்தீங்க அப்படின்னா பிரிட்டன் வந்து பயங்கரமான ஒரு குளோரியில இருந்த டைம். ஆனா செல்வம் ஒரு சைட்ல கொழிச்சிட்டு இருந்தது, இன்னொரு சைட்ல பாவர்ட்டியில வாடுறவங்க இருக்கதான் செஞ்சாங்க. ரைட். ஸோ ப்ராக்ரஸ் ஒரு சைட்ல இருந்தது, அதே நேரம் வந்து பாத்தீங்க அப்படின்னா ஒரு சைட்ல டெவாஸ்டேஷன் அப்படிங்கிறது. ஏன்னா புவர் வந்து மறுபடியும் போராயிட்டே தான் போயிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு கான்ட்ராடிக்டரி நேச்சர் விக்டோரியன் எராக்கு இருந்ததுனால ஸோ இதை வந்து G.K. Chesterton விக்டோரியன் காம்ப்ரமைஸ் அப்படிங்கிற இந்த நேச்சரை வந்து காயின் பண்ணியிருப்பார். நேம் த நாவல் which was set in India, the city of Chandrapur near Malabar Caves. Name the novel which was set in India, the city of Chandrapur near Malabar Caves. Very good. A Passage to India. Okay, 1924. A Passage to India, 1924. I believe Great Gatsby was published in 1924. Of course, it is an American work.
1925.
25. Okay. Written or something, I guess. What are the three sections in the novel? What are the three sections in the novel A Passage to India?
Mask, caves, temple.
Very good. Mask, caves, temple. These are all the three sections. Passage to India is a poem by, poetry collection by
Walt Whitman.
Walt Whitman. Passage to England is a work by
Mirashi
Chaudhary.
Mirashi Chaudhary. Only Connect is an epigraph in. Only Connect is an epigraph in.
Howard's End.
Howard's End by E.M. Foster. Lambert Struther is a character in. Lambert Struther is a character in. Henry James the Ambassador. Okay, Henry James the Ambassador. Where angels fear to tread. Title taken from.
Essay and criticism.
Yeah. Foster oda work da, Where Angels Fear to Tread. The title taken from Alexander Pope's An Essay on Criticism. Okay, an essay on criticism. According to E.M. Foster, two kinds of characters exist in novel. What are they?
Flat character and round character.
Yeah, flat and round characters. சரிங்களா இதை வந்து அவரோட ஒரு எஸ்ஏல டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணிருப்பாரு ஒரு புக். சரிங்களா நாவல்ஸ்ல வந்து ரெண்டு விதமான கேரக்டர்ஸ் தான் எக்ஸிஸ்டன்ஸ். ஒன்னு வந்து ரவுண்ட், இன்னொன்னு ஃபிளாட் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி சொல்லியிருப்பாரு. வாட் இஸ் தட் ஒர்க் ஆக்சுவலி?
Aspect of novel.
Aspects of novel. Okay, aspects of novel by E.M. Foster. Remember. So what is round character? You know, the character Elizabeth Jane, right? The character Elizabeth Jane, as we know, Pride and Prejudice, in the very beginning, you know, on seeing Darcy, right? முதல்ல பார்க்கும்போது she had a prejudice. ரொம்ப பணக்கார பயங்கர திமிரா இருப்பா உங்களுக்கு. But over the time, you know, அடுத்து விக்காம பாப்பா, அவ பார்க்கக்கூடிய பழகக்கூடிய ஆட்கள் கிட்ட இருந்து நிறைய விஷயங்கள, யூனோ, ஒவ்வொரு டைம் அவளோட கேரக்டர் வந்து அப்படியே கொஞ்சம் க்ரோத் இருக்கும், ஒரு மெச்சூரிட்டி அட்டைன் பண்ணும். ஸோ அதுதான் வந்து வெரி குட் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஃபார் ரவுண்ட் கேரக்டர். ஒரு கிராஜுவலான ஒரு சேஞ்ச் இருந்துகிட்டே இருக்கும். நாவலோட ஸ்டார்டிங்ல ஒரு விதமான கேரக்டர் இருக்கும், பட் அட் த எண்ட் ஆஃப் த நாவல் யூனோ தெர் வாஸ் சேஞ்ச் ஓவர் த டைம். பட் ஃபிளாட் கேரக்டர் இஸ் நாட் லைக் தட். எப்படி ஆரம்பத்துல இருந்தாங்களோ எண்டு வரைக்கும் அதே மாதிரியே தான் இருப்பாங்க, ரைட்? தட் இஸ் வாட் ஃபிளாட் கேரக்டர். வெரி குட் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இஸ் நீலாம்பரியின் படையப்பா, ரைட்? கடைசியில காப்பாத்துறதுக்கு வருவா, வேல் எடுத்து போடும் காப்பாத்தும் போது படையப்பா அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு உருகிடுவா, நானும் ரவுண்ட் கேரக்டரா மாறிடுவாளோ அப்படின்னு பார்ப்போம். பட் கடைசியில என்ன பண்ணுவா, எனக்கு நீ கொடுத்த பிச்சை உயிர் வேண்டாம்னு சொல்லிட்டு குத்தி செத்து போயிடுவா. ஸோ பிகினிங்ல இருந்து எண்ட் வரைக்கும் ஷீ இஸ் லிலி, ரைட்? ஸோ நீலாம்பரி இஸ் அ வெரி குட் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஃபார் flat character. There will be no change from the beginning till the end in the movie, right? But exam என்ன பண்ணாதீங்க, நீலாம்பரி ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. இன்னொன்னு வந்து இந்த சிண்ட்ரலா ஸ்டோரியில ஸ்டெப் மதர் வருவாங்க பாத்தீங்களா, அவங்களுமே குட் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஃபார் ஃபிளாட் கேரக்டர். Now guess the writer. Okay, in the question, guess the writer. He is a close friend of Siegfried Sassoon. He was nominated for Nobel Prize. Okay, his autobiography is Goodbye to All That.
Robert Graves.
Correct, Robert Graves. Okay, Robert Graves, 1929. Goodbye to All That was published in 1929. Which novelist does Foster cite as a prophet? E.M. Foster தன்னோட aspects of novelல ஒரு novelist prophet அப்படின்னு சொல்லியிருப்பார். Who was he? He wrote Crime and Punishment.
Fyodor Dostoevsky.
Fyodor Dostoevsky. Okay, Fyodor Dostoevsky was cited as a prophet by E.M. Foster. Now, who wrote Ulysses? Who wrote the novel Ulysses?
James
Yeah,
Joyce.
yeah. Remember, the novel Ulysses was written by James Joyce. The poem Ulysses was written by Tennyson. There is another man who wrote the poem Ulysses. He was Robert Graves. Goodbye to All That. And the Robert Graves Ulysses no poem. Now tell me, who wrote Return of Ulysses? Who wrote Return of Ulysses? It is a work by Robert Bridges. Okay, Robert Bridges. Now, this man, Robert Bridges, he did a translation of Rubaiyat of Umar Khayyam. Rubaiyat of Umar Khayyam, right? Robert Bridges translate பண்ணிருப்பார். Now, can you remember some Victorian writer who did this translation?
Edward Fitzgerald.
Yeah, Edward Fitzgerald. Edward Fitzgerald ருபாயாத் ஓட உமர் கயாம டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணிருப்பாரு. நிறைய டிரான்ஸ்லேஷன்ஸ் அந்த ஒர்க்ஸ்க்கு இருந்திருக்கு. அதுல நம்ம ராபர்ட் பிரிட்ஜஸும் டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணிருக்காரு. ஓகே, ருபாயாத் ஆஃப் உமர் கயாம். டெத் ஆஃப் அ ஹீரோ இஸ் அ ஒர்க் பை, இட் இஸ் ஆஃப் கோர்ஸ் a novel. Death of a Hero is a work by, autobiographical I guess, Richard Aldington. Richard Aldington. Who won the Nobel Prize in
GB
1925?
Shaw.
1925, the Nobel Prize, GB Shaw. 1932,
John
John
Galsworthy.
Galsworthy.
John Galsworthy. Okay, 1948,
T.S. Eliot.
T.S. Eliot.
T.S. Eliot.
T.S. Eliot. 1982,
Gabriel
Gab-
Garcia Marquez.
Gabriel.
Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Who was the youngest recipient of Nobel Prize?
Rudyard Kipling.
Rudyard Kipling. Who was the oldest recipient?
Doris.
Doris May Lessing.
Yeah, Doris Lessing, 2007. Kazu Ishiguro,
2017.
2017. Okay. Now, In Memory of W.B. Yeats is an elegy by easy
W.H.
question.
W.H. Auden.
Yeah, W.H. Auden. Correct. I. Claudius is a work by. I. Claudius is a work by Robert Graves. Okay. Robert Graves wrote I. Claudius. Who wrote the poem The Unknown Citizen?
W.H. Auden.
W.H. Auden. Eugene Marchbanks is a famous character. Eugene Marchbanks is a famous character.
Candida.
Very good. Candida by George Bernard Shaw. Eugene Marchbanks is a character in Shaw's Candida. Okay. Now, listen to this quote. All is for the best in the best of all possible worlds. I repeat, all is for the best in the best of all possible worlds. This particular line mocks optimist philosophy. Can you tell me the man who made this statement? All is for the best in the best of all possible worlds. Optimist philosophy mock panna or writer is Voltaire. Okay. Candida is by G.B. Shaw. Voltaire wrote Candide, C-A-N-D-I-D-E, Candide. Okay. He's the one who mocks optimist philosophy. Now tell me, Dulls and Decorumist is a poem by Dulls and Decorumist is a poem by Wilfred Owen. Wilfred Owen. Okay, war poet Wilfred Owen wrote Dulls and Decorumist. Remember, it is an ironical statement made on a war. Seringla? Abdi enna statement, Dulls and Decorumist. You know, the meaning for this term is it is sweet and fitting, like this sweet and proper அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி சொல்லலாம். இப்போ இங்க என்ன மீனிங் வச்சிருக்கிறாரு அப்படின்னு பாருங்க. It is sweet and honorable to die for one's country. ஓகே, இது ஆக்சுவலா மார்க் பண்றாரு, வார வந்து கிரிட்டிக் பண்றாரு. சரிங்களா? டாக்டர் Dulls and Decorumist அப்படிங்கிற போயம்ல I repeat, it is sweet and honorable to die for our nation. Next question, anthem for doomed youth. Strange meeting. Can you tell me the authors of these poems?
Seyfried
Come again. Anthem for doomed youth. Strange meeting. Wilfred Owen. Wilfred Owen. Okay, Wilfred Owen. Which of W.B. Yeats' poem is set against Irish Revolution? Easter 1916. Okay, Easter 1916. Irish Revolution backdrop. The Second Coming. We know that the Second Coming is a poem by W.B. Yeats. Can you tell me the name of the collection it was published? In a poetry collection la publish aayirukku Second Coming?
October.
Come again. The Tower. Correct, The Tower. Name of the journal. Ama. In the journal publish aayirukku Second Coming.
The Dial.
The Dial journal publish aayirukku. Appo poetry collection la add pannirpaanga. That poetry collection is by W.B. Yeats. Poetry collection oda name Tower, magazine oda name The Dial. Okay. T.S. Eliot oda ஒரு poem Dial magazine la publish aayirukme. What is that?
Wasteland.
The Wasteland. Very good. Criterion la 1922 October. November 1922 la Dial magazine la Wasteland publish aayirukku. Now tell me the opening lines. I'm going to utter the opening lines. You have to find out which work it is. It was a bright cold day in April and the clocks were striking 13. It was a bright cold day in April and the clocks were striking 13 is the opening line.
1984.
Very good. 1984 by George Orwell. Can you tell me the protagonist's name? The very beginning I asked. Winston Smith. Now, early in the morning, late in the century, Cricklewood Broadway is the opening line. Early in the morning, late in the century, Cricklewood Broadway is the opening line. White Teeth by Zadie Smith. Okay, White Teeth by Zadie Smith, 2000. Okay, hysterical realism. That genre is associated with Zadie Smith. Remember, hysterical realism. Things fall apart, center can't hold. These lines are from
The Second Coming.
Second coming.
the second. Now tell me, which Nigerian writer took the title "Things Fall Apart" for his novel?
Chinua Achebe.
Christy Mohan is a character in. Christy Mohan is a character in.
Playboy of Mr.
Playboy of the Western world.
The Playboy of the Western World. Christy Mohan, a man who committed patricide. Okay, but actually patricide commit பண்ணிருக்க மாட்டாரு, but in the end of the story he did. Okay, Christy Mohan, he committed patricide. Okay, then which writer committed matricide? Mary Lamb, who is the sister of Charles Lamb, remember. Okay, Mary Lamb, who is the sister of Charles Lamb. Together they wrote A Tale from Shakespeare, remember. Okay, Gift of the Magi is a poem by. Gift of the Magi is a poem by.
O. Henry.
Oh, Henry.
It is by T.S. Eliot. Something I remember. Yeah.
Journey of the
They bring gifts for child Jesus. These Magi, they bring some gift for child Jesus. Now, I should be glad of another dead. Ending line of. I should be glad of another dead is the ending line of The Journey of Magi. Okay, The Journey of Magi or the ending line. Remember, there are 43 lines in the poem, The Journey of Magi. Inscape and sprung rhythm are associated with
G.M. Hopkins.
G.M. Hopkins. Inscape and sprung rhythm are associated with G.M. Hopkins. How many lines are there in Curtal sonnets? How many lines?
10 and half.
10 and a half. 10 and a half. Yeah, 10 and a half or 11 lines. உங்களுக்கு ஆப்ஷன்ல 10 and a half இருந்ததுன்னா go with 10 and a half. 11 இருந்ததுன்னா go with 11. மேடம் ரெண்டுமே இருந்ததுனால வில்லங்கமா கேட்க கூடாது. சரிங்களா? क्वेश्चனை டிரா பண்ணிடுவாங்க. Which work of William Emerson mentioned about G.M. Hopkins' phrase sweet sacrifice referring to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ? I repeat, which work of William Emerson mentions about G.M. Hopkins' phrase sweet sacrifice referring to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ?
7 types of ambiguity.
7 types of ambiguity. In the work, in the version publisher.
1930.
Yeah, 1930. Okay, 1930, 7 types of ambiguity. Okay, 1930, who won the Nobel Prize in 1930? Sinclair Lewis. Okay, Sinclair Lewis, 1930. Now tell me, who were the founders of Abbey Theatre? ஏதாவது 3 writers சொல்லுங்க.
W.B.
Each மட்டும் கேக்குது.
Girigari.
Gregory அப்படி சொல்றீங்களா? Okay, I repeat. Sorry, I'll tell the answer now. The founders of Abbey Theatre: W.B. Yeats, Lady Augusta Gregory, Edward Martin, George Moore. Okay, and also the early proponents J.M. Synge. Right, I repeat: W.B. Yeats, Lady Augusta Gregory, Edward Martin, George Moore, J.M. Synge. Okay, now tell me, when did Abbey Theatre found by all these people? 1904. Okay, 1904. Tell me which critical work of A.Z. Bradley was published in 1904?
Shakespearean tragedy.
Shakespearean tragedy. 20th century ஷேக்ஸ்பியரோட ஃபேமஸ் கிரிட்டிக் அப்படின்னா ஏசி பிராட்லி தான். ஏசி பிராட்லியோட ஷேக்ஸ்பீரியன் ட்ராஜடி வாஸ் பப்ளிஷ்ட் in 1904. 1904 தான் ஆபே தியேட்டர் வாஸ் ஃபவுண்டட். ஆபே தியேட்டருக்கு இதுக்கு முன்னாடி என்ன பேர் இருந்தது? ஐரிஷ் லிட்டரரி what is that? Revival, something like that. Now tell me the original planned title for the poem Wasteland.
He
The
to the
original
police.
Police of
voices. He to the police in different voices. These lines are taken from Our Mutual Friend by Charles Dickens. Our Mutual Friend from Charles Dickens. Sorry, by Charles Dickens. அதுல இருந்து தான் டைட்டில் எடுத்திருப்பாங்க. Epigraph of Wasteland. What is epigraph of Wasteland? Satyricon of Petronicus. Yeah. Petronicus oda Satyricon of Petronicus is an epigraph. But the planned epigraph, சரிங்களா, முதல்ல ஒரு எபிகிராஃப் பிளான் பண்ணிருப்பாரு, அதுக்கப்புறம் இன்னொரு எபிகிராஃப் எழுதிருப்பாரு. நம்ம ஆள் இப்படிதான் நம்மள குழப்பாரு. சரியா? என்னன்னா ஹாரர் that is a planned epigraph. ஆனா அது யூஸ் பண்ணிருக்க மாட்டாரு. Instead he use Petronicus Satyricon. சரிங்களா? ஹாரர் இப்பதான் நம்ம ஆல்ரெடி பிகினிங்லயே பார்த்தோம். Who utter the words horror in his dead பாருங்க. Yeah, the early epigraph is actually from Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. Okay, now tell me for whom Wasteland was dedicated. Yeah, Ezra. A game of chess is a second section in Wasteland. Tell me from where the title is taken from.
Thomas
Middleton. சரிங்களா, உங்களுக்கு இந்த யூனிவர்சிட்டி வித்ஸ்ல எப்பவுமே யூனிவர்சிட்டி வித்ஸ் இந்த மெட்டபிசிக்கல் பாயிண்ட்ஸ்ல ஒரு क्वेश्चन கேக்குறாங்க. சரிங்களா, சோ பாத்து வச்சுக்கோங்க. தாமஸ் மிடில்டன் wrote a game of chess. Game of chess or game of chess. It is a banned work. அதுல இருந்து டைட்டில் எடுத்து நம்மால என்ன பண்ணிருக்காரு, செகண்ட் செக்ஷனுக்கு டைட்டில் வச்சிருக்காரு. Wasteland, it consists of 5 sections. Right, the first one is Burial of the Dead. I'm sorry, Burial of the Dead, a game of chess, fire sermon, death by water, what the thunder said. மேடம் ஃபாஸ்டா போறீங்க, நீங்க என்ன பண்ணீங்க, உங்க சைடுல பின் பண்ணி Wasteland 5 sections படிச்சு வச்சுக்கோங்க. இல்ல நம்ம ட்ரெஷர் ஹவுஸ் புக் பாருங்க இருக்கும். Okay, these are all the 5 sections in Wasteland. Make it new. This is a excellent principle of modernism. Can you tell me who made this statement, make it new?
Extra pound in images.
Extra pound.
Yeah, modernism, right? Make it new அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி சொல்லிப்பாரு Ezra Pound. For whom the poem Wasteland was dedicated?
Ezra
Also Ezra Pound. T.S. Eliot தன்னோட ஃப்ரெண்ட் Ezra Poundக்காக தான் Wasteland டெடிகேட் பண்ணிருப்பாரு. Ezra Pound make it new னு modernism சொல்லிருப்பாரு. சரிங்களா? Remember that. Tell me the shortest section in Wasteland. Death by water. But the longest section in Wasteland. Fire sermon. Name the conversion poem of T.S. Eliot. No, it is Ash Wednesday. Yeah, Ash Wednesday is a conversion poem of T.S. Eliot. Tell me which Russian writer's work was parodied in Ash Wednesday by T.S. Eliot. Nabokov. Okay, Vladimir Nabokov. Now, listen to this carefully. Honest criticism and sensitive appreciation is directed not upon the poets, but upon the poetry. Who made this statement? Honest criticism and sensitive appreciation is directed not upon the poet, but upon the poetry. Who says this?
Philip Sidney.
It is T.S. Eliot. Okay. Sacred Wood. It is a collection of essays by T.S. Eliot. Okay. When this collection was published, when this book was published? Sacred Wood. 1920. Okay. The book Sacred Wood was published in 1920. Now, remember, T.S. Eliot is made a famous, statement about himself. He called himself classicist in literature, royalist in politics, and Anglo-Catholic in religion. Okay, in the Mario statement make one of the T.S. Eliot. Now tell me, objective correlative is a term. This terms la marabadiyum paakalam. Anyhow, chinna recollection. Objective correlative is a term by T.S. Eliot in the work la பேசிப்பார் objective correlative பத்தி.
Hamlet and his problem.
Hamlet and his problems. Yeah. Depersonalization or impersonality. சரிங்களா, எப்படின்னா இதை சொல்லலாம். இந்த டேர்ம் எதுல டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணிருப்பாரு? Depersonalization, impersonality theories.
Tradition and individual talent.
Yeah, tradition and individual talent. Tradition and individual talents. Now tell me, how many characters did the character Sweeney appears in T.S. Eliot's poem? How many poems did the character Sweeney appears in T.S. Eliot's poem? 4. சரிங்களா, 4 poem. T.S. Eliot அந்த 4 poemsல appear அவர் வேஸ்ட்லேண்ட்லயுமே ஸ்வீனி அகனிஸ்டஸ்னு ஒரு ஆட்கள் இருப்பாரு இல்லையா, அந்த ஸ்வீனி தான் எத்தனை ஒர்க்ஸ் T.S. Eliot எத்தனை போம்ஸ்ல வருவாருன்னு கேட்கிறேன். 4. சரிங்களா, 4 என்னன்னு பார்த்து வச்சுக்கோங்க. Which play of T.S. Eliot portrays the assassination of Archbishop Thomas Becket in 1170?
Murder in the Cathedral.
Correct. Murder in the Cathedral. Okay, Murder in the Cathedral. இந்த பிளேல தான் தாமஸ் பெக்கெட்டோட அசாசினேஷனை போர்ட்ரே பண்ணிருப்பார். Madame Sosastris is a character appears in
Wasteland.
Yeah, Wasteland. But who created the character Madame Sosastris?
Cromwell by Aldous Huxley.
Yeah, Cromwell by Aldous Huxley. சரிங்களா, ஆல்டஸ் ஹக்ஸ்லியோட டெபியூ ஒர்க் தான் Cromwell. அதுல ஒரு மேல் கேரக்டர் என்ன பண்ணுவாரு, ஃபார்ச்சூன் டெல்லர் மாதிரி வந்து டிஸ்கைஸ் ஆவார் ஒரு ஃபீமேலா. அந்த கேரக்டர் தான் மதாம் சோசாஸ்ட்ரஸ். திஸ் மதாம் சோசாஸ்ட்ரஸ் இந்த கேரக்டர் அப்படியே ஒருத்தர் எடுத்து என்ன பண்ணிருப்பாரு, அவரோட போயம்ல ஃபிட் பண்ணிருப்பாரு. ரைட், த ஃபியூச்சர் the Madame Sosastris, அவங்க ஒரு ஃபார்ச்சூன் டெல்லர் தான், முன்னாடி என்ன நடக்கும்னு சொல்லக்கூடிய கேரக்டர் தான். பட் that is not completely true. A false prophecy வந்து கொடுக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு கேரக்டர் தான் Madame Sosastris in Wasteland. Remember, musicalization of fiction. In which work the musicalization of fiction? Sorry, which work of Aldous Huxley is called musicalization of fiction? Musicalization of fiction. Point, counterpoint. Okay, point, counterpoint. The title Brave New World is taken from
The Tempest.
The Tempest. Can you tell me the act and scene? In the act and in the scene la Tempest la பேசிப்பாங்க. Act 5 scene 1, Miranda utter the words. சரிங்களா, Brave New World. அவங்களோட ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்ல இருந்து தான் அந்த டைட்டில் எடுத்திருப்பாரு Aldous Huxley. But remember, Brave New World is a dystopian fiction. The same Aldous Huxley wrote utopian work also. What is that?
Island.
Island, very good. Island is an utopian work by Aldous Huxley. Dystopian work is Brave New World. Okay. Now, Brave New World oda settings exactly சொல்லுங்க பாப்போம். After Ford 632. Okay, after Ford 632. இதுல Ford அப்படிங்கிறது ஹென்ரி ஃபோர்ட் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு இண்டஸ்ட்ரியலிஸ்ட இங்க மென்ஷன் பண்ணிருப்பாரு. ஹென்ரி ஃபோர்ட் இஸ் an industrialist. அவரை வந்து கிரிட்டிக் பண்ற விதமா தான் ஆஃப்டர் ஃபோர்ட் that this setting was mentioned. He is referred as God of New World. யாரு, ஹென்ரி ஃபோர்ட். He is referred as God of New World. Isles in Gaza. This phrase is taken from Isles in Gaza. I'm sorry. Isles in Gaza is a novel by Aldous Huxley. Okay, the title Isles in Gaza is borrowed from
John Milton, Samson Agonistus.
Very good. Samson Agonistus. சரிங்களா, ஜான் மில்டனோட சாம்சன் அகனிஸ்டஸ்ல இருந்துதான் Isles in Gaza. This man Samson, அவரு at last he suffered of blindness. அவரோட வீக்னஸ் என்ன அப்படிங்கறத அவரோட மனைவி என்ன பண்ணிருவாங்க, ரிவீல் பண்ணிருவாங்க. ஹேர் தான் அவரோட வீக்னஸ் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. Right, so it's a closet drama. Remember, Samson Agonistus is a closet drama. Closet drama na enna, only meant to be read. It can't be performed on the stage. Okay, in the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. No, I'm not Prince Hamlet anymore. In the lines, எந்த ஒர்க்ல வரும்? T.S. Eliotோட எந்த ஒர்க்?
Love song of J. Alfred Prufrock.
Love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. So இதுல தான் you have these lines. Okay. Next question. Who wrote Hindu Sepoy in France? Who wrote Hindu Sepoy in France? Rudyard Kipling. Okay. Rudyard Kipling. As we know, Rudyard Kipling, he supported war. That's why George Orwell critiqued him as Jingo imperialist. You know, in post-colonialism, I mentioned one of his poems, right, to justify imperialism. Can you remember the poem? The White Man's Burden. Remember the White Man's Burden, right, where he supported imperialism, right? What work did Kipling undertake in India? He was a journalist in India. Okay, as we know, he was born in India but schooled in England. Who is the author of Jungle Book and Barrack Room Ballads? Who is the author of Jungle Book and Barrack Room Ballads?
Leslie Stephen.
A Jungle Book, Barrack Room Ballads.
Rudyard Kipling.
Rudyard Kipling. Okay. Jungle Bookல வரக்கூடிய கேரக்டர் யாரு?
Mowgli.
Very good. Okay, tell me, when was Kipling's poem The White Man's Burden written? Sorry, already was Ketasla. When was Kipling's poem The White Man's Burden written? 1899. Yeah. Which war is the main backdrop for White Man's Burden? American Philippines War. American Philippines War is a backdrop for White Man's Burden. Which work of Kipling was adopted by Disney Studio as a movie?
Jungle Book.
Yeah. It is a children's literature, yeah. Jungle Book. Name the motivational poem written by Kipling.
If.
Yeah, correct. If. What did Henry James describe as loose, baggy monsters? What did Henry James describe as loose, baggy monster? Novels அதான் கிரிட்டிக் பண்ணுவார் ஹென்ரி ஜேம்ஸ். நாவல்ஸ் தான் லூஸ் பேகி மான்ஸ்டர் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாரு. எதை ஆக்சுவலா சொல்றாரு அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, ஒரு சில நாவல்ஸ்ல பிளாட்டே வந்து ஒரு மாதிரி அன்ஸ்ட்ரக்சர்டா இருக்கும். சரிங்களா? லைக் நாவல்ஸ் ஆஃப் டால்ஸ்டாய் அண்ட் டிக்கன்ஸ், லியோ டால்ஸ்டாய், சார்ல்ஸ் டிக்கன்ஸ் அதான் இங்க கிரிட்டிக் பண்றாரு. remember, the artist may be present in his work like God in creation, invisible and almighty, everywhere felt but nowhere seen. So here Henry James talks about the artist. The artist may be present in his work like God in creation, invisible and almighty, everywhere felt but nowhere seen. Henry James is talking here about the artist. Impersonality. Okay, impersonality. The great English novelists are Jane Austen, George Eliot, Henry James, and Joseph Conrad. Which of the following critical text begins with the above assertion? I repeat, the great English novelists are Jane Austen, George Eliot, Henry James, and Joseph Conrad. Name nalla ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. already பாத்துறோம். Which one of the following which of the critical I didn't give the option. I won't give the option, sorry. Which critical text begins with the above assertion?
F.R.Leaves The Great Tradition.
F.R.Leaves The Great Tradition. The Great Tradition was written along with
Q.D. Lewis.
Q.D. Lewis, right? Q.D. Lewis. Falder and William Falder and Coxon are characters in Justice. William Falder, Ruth Honeywell, Hector Frome, right? இவங்க எல்லாருமே ஜஸ்டிஸ்ல appear ஆவாங்க. Please read Justice, Silver Box, Strife and all that. Which work talks about the negatives of solitary confinement? Solitary confinement. That is also justice. Right? 3 வருஷம் என்ன பண்ணிருவாங்க? Solitary confinementல வில்லியம் ஃபால்டரை போட்டுருவாங்க. என்ன தப்பு பண்ணிருப்பான்? ஒரு ஃபோர்ஜரி பண்ணிருப்பான். அதாவது கொடுத்த செக் புக்ல 9 பவுண்ட்ஸ்க்கு பதிலா பக்கத்துல ஒரு 0 போட்டுருவான். என்ன ஆயிடும்? 90 பவுண்ட்ஸ் ஆயிடும். சோ அப்படி ஃபோர்ஸ் தன்னோட ரூத் ஹனிவல்காக அதை பண்ணுவோம். சரிங்களா? அந்த எக்கனாமிக்கல் டிஃபிகல்ட்டில இருந்து தப்பிக்கிறதுக்காக. So he got that punishment, 3 years solitary confinement. You know, that was critic injustice. The amount stolen by William Falder is
81 pounds.
good. The amount stolen by Falder is 81 pounds. Actually, 9, right? Ama 90 போட்டிருக்கான். அப்ப அவன் எவ்வளவுதான் திருடி இருக்கான்? 81. சரியா? But this அறிவாளிலாம் நினைக்காதீங்க. ஆல்ரெடி நான் வந்து ஆஃப்லைன் கிளாஸ்ல இதை கேட்டிருக்கேன். ஓகே, பட் 19 தான் எல்லாரும் சொன்னாங்க. ஓகே, now silver box இது வேண்டாம். Which work of Galsworthy talks about the strike of the trade union?
Strife.
In the story Araby, what exactly is Araby? James Joyce oda Dublinus love. An Arabian bazaar. Okay, Araby, an Arabian bazaar. Which novel did James Joyce call the English Ulysses? Which novel did James Joyce call the English Ulysses?
Finnegan's Wake.
Robinson Crusoe. Robinson Crusoe. What was the title of the collection of short stories published by James Joyce in 1914? Dublinus. Okay, Dublinus. What was the title of Joyce's final novel published in 1939? 1939. Finnegan's Wake. That is correct. Finnegan's Wake. 17 years. பாருங்க 17 வருஷம் என்ன பண்ணிருப்பாரு எடுத்திருப்பாரு இந்த வர்க்க கம்ப்ளீட் பண்றதுக்கு. Molly Bloom is a character in
Ulysses.
What is the nickname of Stephen Dedalus in Ulysses? What is the nickname of Stephen Dedalus in Ulysses? Kinch. K-I-N-C-H. Stephen Dedalus is a character first appears in James Joyce. Which work?
A portrait.
Portrait of an artist as a young man. Remember, it is a Kunstal Roman. என்ன ஜான்ரால ஃபாலோ ஆகும்னா Kunstal Roman. Kunstal Roman ஒரு ஆர்டிஸ்டோட டெவலப்மெண்ட் ட்ரேஸ் பண்றதா Kunstal Roman. Right? It is slightly different from buildings Roman. Kunstal Roman artist development. Remember, what was the first and the original publisher of James Joyce Ulysses? Who was the first and original publisher of James Joyce Ulysses? Shakespeare and Co. The poems Piano and a Miss of Love were written by. D.H. Lawrence. The Piano, Snake, Mosquito, such kind of works were written by D.H. Lawrence. In which poem a snake comes to the water, trot to drink water?
Snake.
Correct. And so I missed my chance with one of the lots of life, and I have something to expiate a pettiness. I repeat. And so I missed my chance with one of the lots of life, and I have something to expiate a pettiness. The following lines are from one of the poems of D.H. Lawrence. Identify the poem.
Snake.
Correct. Now tell me the chronology. Sons and Lovers, The Rainbow, Gangroo, The Plumed Serpent. Arrange பண்ணுங்க பாப்போம். Sons and Lovers, The Rainbow, Gangroo, The Plumed Serpent.
One, two, three, four.
Come again.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Correct. Who wrote Why the Novel Matters?
D.H. Lawrence.
Yeah, D.H. Lawrence. That is correct. Okay, so it's almost time. So far from the questions, நிறைய questions complete பண்ணிட்டோம், but still we have a few more modern authors to complete. என்ன பண்ணுவேன் மறுபடியும் இன்னொரு தடவை I'll try to cover some other major authors in my next session. So tomorrow session, I'll let you know the topic soon. என்ன பண்ணுங்க படிச்சுட்டு வாங்க, then the session will be very very effective. All the 10 days I'm going to conduct. நான் வேற யாரையும் நான் வைக்க போறது இல்ல. I'm going to conduct the quiz sessions. So proper படிச்சுட்டு வாங்க. Questions or no 100 or 150 or 200 questions are we going to discuss. At the end of the session 2500 quizzes complete தரவு பண்ணுங்க, right? definitely will clear JRF. Okay, guys. So hope the session is useful for all of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So we'll wind up the session today. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Heart. My heart is also. Okay, I'm going. Thank you. Thank you.